Hi everyone, just a quick note to say that the first 20 or so minutes of this week's episode is going to be using the Zoom audio from our recording. I apologise for that, but after those 20 to 25 minutes we're back to normal, and it won't happen again. May the Dark Lord banish me and send me off to destroy 50,000 worlds for Darkseid. Wait, what? Hello and welcome to the Full Fat Podcast, now 4 hours long with 100% more Martian Manhunter. I'm joined by Charlie Lilly, Terry Merkin and Harry Bagg. Let's get into it, guys. What did we think? Clause 1 of me and Harry's infamous contract. Was it good? Charlie?
Oh, okay. We're going straight for it. Straight for it.
Straight for it.
Not fucking about. Okay, right. Let's break it down. Do you want a simple answer? I'm going to go with better than the last Justice League. Better, more coherent, but still not great and not good. I'd say it's fine at most, but I think it wasn't for me. It wasn't for me. To sum it up, I'm sure we'll go into it a bit more, but I don't want to.
It's a no
take
for
off.
you.
It's a no from me. But I'm intrigued to hear everyone else's opinions because I think they could be
Terry
varied.
Merkin.
I thought that 50% of it was quite good and it could have gone into a 2-hour movie, and the other 50% I could leave.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Bagman?
Yeah, I'm kind of in two minds about it. You know, I think it's good for the art. You know, I'm glad like he got to see his vision and all that. It's definitely better than Whedon's, like 110%.
100%.
Yeah.
However, whether it's good or not is another question, which I do not think it was.
There are moments in cinema that define the cinematic experience, and I think Zack Snyder's Justice League is, of course, not one of those experiences, but I enjoyed myself.
But of course, I am the ultimate authority because I'm wearing the sheriff's badge.
Hey,
there is no
Snyder.
sheriff other than Sheriff Snyder.
Well,
The one
Sheriff
only.
Snyder got in touch with me personally and sent this badge for me to judge of the bet. So I am now the judge.
Oh, so you're the adjudicator. I see.
Yes.
I see. Okay.
Yes.
Well, clause 1, was it good? I guess we're all falling on different sides. I would largely say, if you had to push me to a yes or no, is it good or bad? I would say it's good, because I would argue that the movie it's supposed to be, the movie that would have come out in 2017, that would have been like 2.5 hours long, is in there. And I think it's a pretty good movie. I enjoyed the earnestness. I enjoyed that it wasn't Batman v Superman in any way, shape or form. Didn't feel like that movie didn't have the same morose tone. It was fun. I liked the characters. I liked a lot of the set pieces. The problem for me with this Snyder Cut iteration of it is all the superfluous reshoot stuff, like the whole nightmare sequence at the end. Really, the last 30 minutes are just an absolute mess. I couldn't believe how sort of neatly it wraps up when they're all standing there on that ledge looking out. And I was like, you know what? Zack did it. He brought it home. This has given us some closure. I enjoyed this. And then he just went and spoiled it. He went and spoiled it for like 30 minutes. What was all of that? What was it?
I have no idea.
There's nothing else that this film felt more like to me than just like everything we shot and just slapped it in Premiere. Like just slapped it in the edit.
Yeah.
And like none of it was like, it didn't feel like any of it was like cut. Like it felt like an assembly cut. I felt like when you first get an edit for a movie and you just pop it in, and like, because there were so many shots where like things could have been trimmed. I think my issue with it was just that like, yeah, there was more character stuff, but that's only because it's 4 hours long and you've got so many scenes with these characters that are just plopped in. And I just think like, if you think about this, I think you're thinking about it as the 2-hour cut, but like we didn't get that. If I'm looking at it from like the 4 hours, what it is, obviously that's what he intended, what he actually wanted was for all this stuff to be seen. If I'm rating it just on that, I don't think it's a good movie. I think it has better stuff in it. I think like the Cyborg stuff's really good. I think the Flash was like fun, gave me some good laughs. But like overall, like the story I just didn't find that too interesting. There's a lot of, I know it's just a lot of slow motion. Like I want to look at what has the most slow motion in a movie, because this, like everything, but to the point of like, he's not using it for an effect. He's using it because it looks awesome. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it's like when everything has slow mo, then nothing does. Do you know what I'm saying? Like
yeah.
I liked it in parts though, like when Aquaman was like about to spear the parademons, it's like slowing down and then it just like ramped up.
Yeah, there's some great times that it's used.
Just overused.
Yeah.
But like there's a few times where, like, for example, like someone will be hit in slow motion, and usually in movies, when their body impacts the floor, it goes fast again, and you're like, oh damn, you feel it. But like he doesn't do that in the movie, and it's just like, well, you're wasting my time just seeing like a body going like, whoa.
Yeah, and it goes on for
Like,
so
do you know
long
what I
to the
mean?
point where you
God.
become conscious of it. Do you know what I mean? And that's the way it's a problem, when you become conscious of that shot being like, oh no, a minute, okay, it should cut now. Like any minute now, it should probably cut. I don't know if that's me knowing, you know, editing myself and knowing how films work that allows me to have that. I don't know if someone that, you know, doesn't have that perspective would feel that too, but I just feel like it was so, like every shot just felt like it was going on for so long that I didn't need. I feel like there was so much we could trim down.
If you would like to talk about things going on for too long and being overused, I would like to present you with two sounds, which I'd like you to discuss. Here's the first sound. And here's the second sound. Every time Wonder Woman coughed, every time she coughed, like, every time she did a single most solitary thing.
So annoying.
It was a really weird creative choice, because the Wonder Woman theme is awesome and it is beloved almost universally. Like even people that don't like Batman v Superman love the Wonder Woman theme.
It's true.
So why would you not keep it and spam it? Why would you choose this new sound, which is far inferior and irritating?
Yeah,
I
very.
couldn't believe it, and I thought it was such a shame. Such a shame.
Yeah, it ruined some really pivotal moments.
And then obviously
I was just thinking about it.
Sorry, Terry, what were you gonna say?
No, I was just saying I was thinking about that sound rather than thinking about the cool stuff Wonder Woman was doing.
Shall we?
I agree.
Like when she drops down in front of Steppenwolf, I was like, that was actually quite a cool drop. But now I'm just thinking, oh my god, not this sound again.
And then she has like a weird like line, I can't remember what it was, but it's like, here's my faux feminist line, now I'm going to do battle. And I would just roll my eyes.
There's got to be one in every movie.
Yeah, there's got to be. You can't have it without it.
What did you think of Superman's like death moan?
When it first started, I didn't mind the way it was like going through everything, like sending the waves off to all these, but introducing all these characters. But it was just like the repeat of that sound just made it so goofy. And I think that's what a lot of this movie has, is a lot of like very goofy stuff. Like it tries to take itself too seriously, but then it also doesn't. And it's this weird blend of like tone where it's like it doesn't come across as pretentious, that's not the right word, but do you know what I'm trying to say? It's like it's taking it too seriously. It's like the story isn't that deep. Do you know what I mean? It's just like these guys go on a mission to beat this other guy, but like it treats it as if like it is. Do you know what I'm saying? Like everything's
but do you not feel like how BVS was so miserable, and so disjointed that to get this and to know that this was the intention, this was what we were supposed to have gotten, right?
Yeah.
I'm very happy that what Zack was going to give us was this earnest take on like these characters coming together, and like, you know, they're all looking at the mother box and they're all going, oh, are you thinking what I'm thinking? Yeah, let's bring back Superman. And then of course the hologram comes up and he goes up into the middle of the air. Like it's so cheesy and it is a little goofy, but I kind of liked that about it, especially after Batman v Superman. You know, as a sequel to that movie. like I'm glad that it is as Zack Snyder as humanly possible, and yet it's still found time to have heart. And I wasn't expecting that from Justice League. I never thought it would be this good. And even though it is an assembly cut, and that is a problem, it's got a load of superfluous scenes. It's got a load of terribly like realized effects, which they clearly like either did it on the cheap or ran out of time, which is bizarre. But I do think you have to review it as you have to review it in two forms. You have to review it as the movie that we would have gotten that would have been 2.5 hours, and the labor of love that this movie is for the fans. And like usually in any other context, I think that excuse, it's for the fans, is bullshit. When BVS came out and it got negative reviews and they said it was for the fans, that's bullshit. It is for all audiences. You're trying to sell a movie, all right? But this is not that. This is a very bespoke 4-hour labor of love for a fan base that were obsessed with getting to see this. And on that basis, there was no way that he couldn't have put all of those scenes in. Like, there was no way that he could have done an interview after the Snyder Cut dropped and said, oh, well, I almost put Martian Manhunter in it. I almost put Jared Leto in it. Like, people would have gone insane.
Yeah.
People would have been like, oh, we would have loved to have seen that. So I understand why it's the mess that it is. And I'm trying not to hold that against it, even though it does bring down the quality of the movie.
Yes, I think that's an interesting way to look at it, but I do think that even without that, it's still I think still not a great movie, and it depends. It's still not a. Do you know what I mean? I think at the very most it's a fine movie, and I think there's some good stuff in it, and I don't want to come across too negative, but it's hard. We have to judge it on what it is at the same time. Like, it's hard to say, like, it's the 2 hour 30 cut, because I agree there's a 2 hour 30 cut of that movie that is like decent, but it's not what we got. And I do understand, like, I do agree with the fact that he's actually chucked everything in, but like the fact that was his vision in the first place. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what he wanted to tell. He wanted to have all those scenes, so that's how he thinks it's should be shown. Does that make sense?
I don't think that's necessarily true. I don't think that's necessarily true, because I if it had have been the film that had come out in 2017, he would have been pushed and he would have had a dialogue with the producers about cutting out, for example, the scene where Iris West has the car accident and Barry saves her. I think that's a cool scene. I think it's a good introduction to the character, but I totally would have cut it because it doesn't factor into the story in any way. If you were going to use it as a way to explain the Flash's powers, you explain that with the Batarang moment. So it's completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
But I completely understand why he kept it in, because this is his finale. Even though it's a part one and it's a setup movie, it's now become the swan song. This is Zack Snyder's end game, isn't it?
So do you not think that he would? Do you not think that he would keep it all in if he could have back then, even if he could have?
I think a lot of directors would keep in everything they could if they were allowed to, and I don't feel like we should judge him for that. Do you see what I'm saying? Because the dialogue that comes after they've shot the movie and when it's in the edit with other people in the room is essential to finishing the movie. And this is like, it's just such a different special case, isn't it? Because this is for once like a big budget tentpole where they have truly said, this is your vision in the most, possibly in the most genuine sense ever.
Yeah.
Like, this is so Zack Snyder.
So, glad you're here.
He doesn't look like he can be bothered, does he? He's literally just going, oh, hi, Martian Man. It's one of the worst scenes I've ever seen Zack Snyder commit to film, but it's what this was always going to be. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was always going to be rock music and grey skies and Aquaman spearing Steppenwolf. But after all these years of not enjoying BVS, I got a little bit of a Justice League movie I would have wanted, and I'm just happy for that. And I'm happy that we got some closure on this story, both in the real world and in the universe of those movies.
Yeah,
I think sorry. I was gonna say, I think the biggest shame with the movie, as you're saying, like with Barry Allen's scene and stuff, is that we didn't get stories introducing Barry Allen and Cyborg before. Like I feel like they could have had their own movies introducing them, and then by the time we get to Justice League, we know who they are. Like their tone is already set. So I just felt like we were following these different characters' stories, but we had like 7 different movies going on because the characters are all so diverse. Their stories are so tonally different. It almost doesn't fit together. So I found that really jarring to go from like this weird hot dog scene where he's loving dogs to like moody Bat Dad again.
Yeah, you're right, because there's this A plot of Bruce and Diana finding supers, and then there's in amongst that like origin scenes for the Flash and Cyborg, isn't there? Like, Flash goes to meet his dad, and his dad's saying you should get a proper job. So it's like setting up, the job that Flash has in the comics, and he meets his, future girlfriend, and Cyborg's obviously discovering his powers. So yeah, no, I do see what you mean. It's kind of weird that stuff is like on the side for the first hour and a half, and then it kind of all funnels in. I do like, by the time we get to the second act, I think that's the strongest part of the movie, when they assemble and they're all working towards one common goal. When they break into the Star Labs, I thought that for me was when I was most enjoying it, because it was like a scene that was completely fresh, not in the original cut in that way, shape or form at all. And it's just fun to see them do something different. Do you know what I mean? Like a little heist. And I do like the team dynamics, I must say.
I did tweet that it reminds me of like Wonder Mom and Bat Dad taking their quirky and moody teenagers out with Uncle Arthur. That's how it feels like.
Yeah, Bruce and Diana feel like the parents, and then Cyborg and Flash are like the kids. Yeah, and
then Aquaman's like the moody uncle. It's like, who said I didn't care?
What did you guys think of like the Whedon Snyder contrast? Because I found myself like, someone would say a setup line, and then the other person would say like the payoff, and it would be like a completely different payoff. Like, for example, when Bruce Wayne was going, oh, my security was like billions of dollars. In the Whedon cut, Diana says something like, yeah, it looks expensive. And then in the Snyder cut, she says something completely different. It was like, I think it was a bit clunkier, to be fair.
Almost took me a whole minute to disable.
I paid millions of dollars for this building's security.
You got your money's worth. Took me almost a minute to disable it.
I paid millions of dollars for this building's security.
Yeah, it looked expensive.
Hi.
Yeah, and it's funny seeing, do you know what I mean? Like, things you recognize from the original cut, but then slightly altered, and then on top of that, completely new scenes that we've never seen like even a shred of before.
Which was cool in most cases. Not in all of them.
It's a completely different movie. There's no doubt about it. Like, sort of different plot beats, but
absolutely. I do think it was a better movie.
Was there anything that surprised you that it was Snyder?
Yeah, quite a few bits actually. Quite a few lines of just like, but then they also didn't. It was like, it surprised me, but then when I saw it again, knowing that he did it, I was like, actually, I do understand that was Snyder. Like, when Aquaman's like, my man, and then he starts like surfing the parody down. I did think that was Whedon, but then like now I think about it, I do think that is very Zack Snyder as well. Like, it's very like,
yes.
I don't know about you. What I found was so weird about the whole thing was obviously because we've seen Aquaman since. Like, everything with Aquaman is so different to the Aquaman movie that we got with James Wan. Like, even the character,
and way worse. Like, everything. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I you know how I feel about the Aquaman movie. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I find it fun as hell. Like, I thought that movie was really fun. Like, it's just balls to the wall bonkers, but I had a great time. But this, Aquaman was actually just getting on my tits, if I'm honest with you. Like, all he did was moan. He just whinged and moaned. He's like, he was just being like a negative Nina the whole time. Well, everyone's like, Batman's like, I've got a solution. We could do this thing. Well, what about this thing? Yeah, Rajat was like, and it was literally, the dialogue was so bad in that section with Aquaman, because it just felt like he was there to just be the contrarian. Like, he wasn't there other than to... I feel like that's a bit unfair, though, because... yeah, there are bits like that, but then I think there's some really nice moments of character work which tie that together for me. Like, for example, when Flash is talking to him about Cyborg grieving in the other room, and the Flash kind of sort of like, ignorantly says like, well, I know you don't care, but blah, blah, blah. And then Aquaman just go, I never said that.
Yeah, that was
and
good.
For him and you
That
could
was good.
feel that he's also pissed off
Yeah.
that other people think that of him.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's a really nice way to reframe all of the moody bullshit that he's been giving us.
Yeah.
And I think the film has a lot of those moments. The bit that really, really got me was when Cyborg was looking at his family with him in the middle, and he just says, like, you know, they say like they can make him whole, and he just says, "I'm not broken." I just thought that was a perfect way to finish off his arc across the movie. And you know, the things like that, which I wasn't expecting in a million years after Batman v Superman, have given me the goodwill to enjoy it. And you know what? There is a moment in this movie that's clearly a stock shot from Man of Steel where Darkseid puts his hand on Superman's shoulder, and it is one of the worst green screen effects I've ever seen, granted. But I would still take it for that moment with Cyborg. I honestly would.
But to me, the whole time, all I kept thinking was like, I just want a Cyborg movie. Like, he was the only one. It was
yeah,
100%.
no, I
Like,
agree.
he was so
I really
good.
want a
Like,
Cyborg movie.
all the Cyborg stuff, I was like, this is great. Like, I must give it the credit. Like, all the Cyborg stuff was fantastic.
It could have been like its
that could have been its own thing. Yeah, almost like it could have been its own thing. Like,
and like we could have
100%.
introduced like the mother boxes, like we did with like the Tesseract and Avengers and stuff, and slowly like build up to it being like, oh, the mother boxes are actually 3 things, and oh, it could have been so
That's
good.
the problem with the movies, is that they've just kind of wanted to go ahead. You know what I mean? That's why this movie also just suffers, is because they're trying to set up the Flash and Cyborg.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, Cyborg does kind of go into the story very well, but like, yeah, I'd rather a solo movie.
Yeah, and it's weird. Like it's weird. Like, to me, it felt like a lot of the movie felt like we were setting up all these guys coming together, and yeah, we got that scene where they infiltrate the lab, like Matt said, which was nice. But like, when it comes to like the finale, for me, it felt like we was building up all these characters coming together, and then like they have a bit where they meet Steppenwolf and they kick his ass, and then he comes back and they need to get Superman now, even though they didn't have much trouble with him before, but now they need Superman to fight him, and then they get Superman to fight him and they just kick his ass. And it didn't feel like there was no, I don't know, I never felt like there was this, you know, we had this whole big build up, and then the payoff just sort of went out on a whimper a little bit for me, where I just kind of felt, kind of felt like we had all this big build up of all these characters, and Steppenwolf has been built up. And I to talk about Steppenwolf, I think he's so much better of a character than he is in the other Justice League movie. Like,
absolutely.
night and day. Like, I thought the whole stuff with him sort of being like a like scared of Darkseid and wanting to prove himself to him, and like he was almost like teary-eyed at times, and like I thought that was brilliant. Like, I thought that was a great way to get you to sort of understand his perspective a bit more, and just make him a bit more less two-dimensional.
Also, incredible effects when he was,
I was
like,
about to say, his armor looks so good, the way it all spikes up. Like, I thought that was really cool.
And when he's talking to Darkseid, he really looks scared.
Yeah,
really,
he does.
Really well done effects. Yeah, I was shocked about that. I was shocked about that because I thought Steppenwolf was going to be like a one-dimensional baddie.
Yeah.
And I'm also curious because obviously now we'll never get Justice League 2 and 3 in the form they were intended. What was Darkseid's motivation going to be? Because obviously in this he's just like a mustache twirling, I must have anti-life. But, you know, the fact that we got a little bit more texture to Steppenwolf to make him feel like an actual like being rather than just a CGI creation. I wonder what we would have gotten with Darkseid down the line. It gave me more confidence seeing Steppenwolf that Darkseid would have been awesome as a proper, you know, substantiated antagonist.
Definitely.
No, definitely.
I stand by what I said last week in that I want Zack Snyder to make a video game, because these 4 hours would be fantastic as a video game. Like, imagine like you have to like press all the buttons at the right time to get the Flash up to speed, or like you have to like spam square to get fast enough. And
Who would you want to play as?
all of them, and then like.
But the most.
I think Wonder Woman would be cool. I don't think we've really got Wonder Woman in much of a video game, have we?
No.
So imagine like the lasso, and you can like go along like Spider-Man, and you've got like the
buff people really, really hard.
Yeah, it'd be so good.
Yeah. I think I'd want to be Cyborg.
I was just gonna say Cyborg. Yeah.
But it's funny you've brought up
fly and shoot people.
Harry's two favourite things, and of course his third favourite thing is winning money from me, which is why I'm going to go through the bet. So clause one, is the movie good? I'm going to say yes. I have a feeling Bag's going to say no, but I will leave it down to the floor to vote on the final decision for who owes who.
Well, I do believe that last week Mr. Bag said if it's fine, you can have it.
Yeah. I'd be willing to say it's fine, but like to say it's good.
That's
definitely
the
not
problem.
Like because the problem is that ever since I've heard about a Snyder Cut, all I want to know is if it was better than Whedon's, and if it was good, and it is better than Whedon's, but ultimately it is different from what we were going to get back in the day, and for me, like, it kind of tarnishes it a little bit. So like, it's fine. It's fine. Like I went into it kind of open-minded. I knew it wasn't going to be for me. Like, it never was. I hated Batman versus Superman. Not a massive fan of Man of Steel. It is what it is. Like, I'll take it. Like, it can be fine. But like, if you ultimately had to ask me whether it was a good movie or not, it would have to be a no. Like, it is. It's got way too much in it. There's filmmaking techniques which are quite frankly illiterate in some ways, without being rude to Snyder. But it's true though. It's true though. Like, there's no way you're like, if the producers saw that movie, you wouldn't be like, oh yeah, that's fine, don't cut anything out. It'd be crazy not to. I can completely understand why the producers saw that and when, oh, hang on a minute, something's not right, because like you can't go into something shooting 4 hours. Like, what was it going to be, like a 3-hour movie?
But I reckon you could easily cut an hour and then you could, with some effort, cut half an hour. So I don't think it would have been unsalvageable.
I think there's a 3-hour version of this movie which is even better than what we got. 3 hours. I think that there's little bits that need to be, even like making the slow-mo a little bit, like, not as much. Like, you'd save so much time. I think if you'd done that, there would be a movie that I would consider fine or good. But if you're really actually asking me whether I thought that 4-hour version was good, I'd have to go with no, personally. But I'm willing to go with fine, because the problem is that Whedon's version is worse, and that we're also comparing it to that as well. So.
But the thing is, I think it's weird to compare. Even though, you know, it's better than the Whedon version, I think you've still got to look at it like, if this is the one I watched, would I still be happy? Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't be.
That's also.
And,
and I wouldn't be. If this continued, would you be happy? Hell no.
But like, no. but I do think to say, oh, would I have liked this if this had been the one we'd have gotten? The one we'd have gotten wouldn't have been this either. Do you know what I mean? It's actually kind of weird that the original Justice League is defined by all these weird reshoots, like Henry Cavill's face, and now this one is also kind of defined by all these weird reshoots. Do you know what I mean? It's like, we're never ever gonna get the Justice League movie, the real movie that has all finished effects and is like paced well and all this sort of stuff. And if we're never going to get that, for me, I need to think about the intent of this movie. And for me, the intent was, it's a 4-hour assembly cut that is purely to give some finality to not only BVS, but the entire DCEU as Snyder saw it. And there's no way that you can wrap that story up well with the footage they have, because it's part one of a trilogy. And there's all kinds of things that, you know, that Snyder would have wanted to have done, like see Batman meet the Joker, for example. And even though that stuff doesn't make sense in the context of this movie, I'm happy that we got it, and I'm happy that we got it. We got as much of it as possible. We got Snyder firing on all cylinders.
on tap.
And you know what? Maybe I'm being kind to it, but I just feel like after a year of not going to the cinema properly, and, you know, after seeing all this discourse about movies just getting, you know, homogenized and blockbusters taking over and there being no mid-budget movies, I'm just happy that this movie exists because it is weird.
So am I,
it's
so am I.
Snyder,
Like,
and it's
don't
4
think
hours.
I hate it. So I don't
Yeah.
like I said, like it's great that he gets to see his vision, and like I am. At the end of the day, I'm really happy for these people that love the movie. I wish I loved it. I wish I was a fan of Snyder. I really do, because it would be a crazy event, crazy. But like, me as me, like, if you're asking me if it's good, I just personally no. It like, it's great for the movement, but like
The movement.
No, but like it's there's been like the suicide prevention charity, like all that sort of stuff. It's great for all that. Great, absolutely. I think in terms of all of that, fantastic. But if you're asking me whether it's a good movie, would I watch it again as well? No, definitely not. Like it's just far too long. It's far too long. I'm telling you, there's a 3-hour version of this movie which is a little bit tighter. It'll be even better than this. And if it like you have all that epilogue stuff, which completely ruins the lovely message at the end where it says for autumn. That would have been so much nicer if all that epilogue stuff was completely cut out, or at least put it in the post-credit scene so Matt can get an extra tenner.
It's true.
That was an amazing way to sign off that.
I just think I just feel still.
Sorry, Charlie.
Go on, mate. Go on.
No, you go on. You go on, mate.
Yeah, I know. I just feel like even though all of that, like I still think like it's getting too many passes for everyone. Like I just think like you've got to look at it like as a movie still, and like it's just not a good movie. Like if you was to, I think you're ranking it on too many. You're putting too many like filters on top of like. I have to rank it within this thing. Like we're ranking it as a movie in terms of like all movies. Like, and it's just. It's not fundamentally. It's not a good movie.
No, but I wouldn't say I'm putting modifiers on it to like it. I'm more just saying that
of course.
I did enjoy it, and that's kind of why I enjoyed it. But honestly, and like you know me, guys. You know, Batman v Superman was not what I wanted.
No, it broke our hearts.
It broke our hearts, and I will never forgive it. And I've watched it since, and it's still not. It's just not what I want from a Batman and Superman team up. Or versus, for that matter. But this movie had a lot of what I would want from a Justice League movie, and I enjoyed it, and I would watch it again. And considering the journey that this movie has gone through, I think it's a satisfying conclusion to the story. And I've got some closure on the DCEU, and I feel very happy about that. And also, it was just exciting. Do you know what I mean? It was exciting to see, like, oh, here's this scene that you never thought you were going to get from, like, the 2016 trailer. It's just a weird experience.
It was a very.
But I will follow my sword. I will say. I will agree. Largely. I think if it comes down to a betting situation, the tenner is yours.
Matt admitting he's wrong.
And it's on camera.
Oh my gosh, it's on the internet.
It's the part where we watch it on YouTube later and like it's just cut that bit and we're like, what? He's like, cut us saying he's writing. Like, and he's like,
we're like frozen and he's like, put that filter on that moves our mouth. He's like, yes, Matt, you're correct. You're always right.
I had to. All right. Clause 2. In the event Green Lantern is in the movie, Mr. Harry Bagg or Mr. Matthew Whittle £10. Well, there were multiple Green Lanterns in the movie, but I agree, Bagg. It should have been one of the main human Green Lanterns, which did not appear, even though Snyder said he wanted that to happen. So the tenner is with Harry. So currently, he's £20 up.
Do you know what? I actually saw an article that said, like, Ryan Reynolds says he got the Green Lantern movie he always wanted. And so I thought that there was going to be a Green Lantern. So I was like, oh no, I've seen it and now I've spoiled the bet. So I was sat there the whole time like, where is he? Where is he? Where is he?
Where's Ryan Reynolds?
Never arrived. I mean, Jason Momoa wasn't enough. I need Ryan Reynolds as well. Jason Momoa is always enough.
Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck.
Oh my goodness. And Gal Gadot.
And Gal Gadot
as well.
So much.
It's a very attractive film.
in the event the movie is R-rated, so that's a tenner to me.
Yep.
And well, I think this one might go to me, but we'll discuss it. So clause 4, I think, will be in contention. It's in the event Darkseid is in the movie in the present narrative and comes to one attack, Mr. Harry Bagwell, Mr. Matthew Whittle, £10. In the event the aforementioned does not happen, Mr. Matthew Whittle owe Mr. Harry Bag £10. I think that tenner's mine, mate.
I think that tenner's Matt's.
I think that tenner's Harry's. I'm sorry.
Well, it's great because we've got a split decision here, haven't we?
But do you know what? I'm the sheriff, so I think my decision
That's true.
sticks.
That's true.
Well, I think me and Bag should make our pleas, and you guys.
You're gonna say make out.
We can do that as well.
Me and Bag should make out.
Do it like how we did the high five last
For Darkseid.
Do it how we did the high five.
Why
are you going that low down?
Yeah. Oh dear.
We were going the same way. But yeah. I would argue Darkseid is in the movie. He drives a lot of the plot. He's a fully formed character. He's in the movie far more than Thanos is in the MCU pre-Infinity War. Like, he has a really substantiated role in this movie. And he's not only in the flashback attacks, he's in the flash forward premonition where he fights Aquaman and kills him and has a scene with Superman. And then, at the end of the movie, in the final battle, he shows up through the portal and the League meet Darkseid. And he has a scene afterwards where he says he's now going to invade. He's in the movie. He is the main antagonist. He is the Emperor to Steppenwolf's Vader. He is in the movie. He stabs Aquaman with his own trident.
But not in the present narrative. He stabs him in the trident in the future narrative.
But the bet says, in the event Darkseid is in the movie in the present narrative and comes to one attack, he's in an attack, and he's in the
present
attack
narrative.
at the end.
Yep. Yeah.
He's in the attack at the end. He shows up at the end.
Okay. We can argue. I'd say the end could be argued, but that flash forward is a load of bollocks, mate.
Okay.
That's not even a flash forward. It's an imagination. We don't even know if it will come to fruition. Like.
All right. Well, let me provide my closing argument for the final battle then. All right. If I described you a scene where Aquaman stabs Steppenwolf in the back with his trident, lifts him up, Superman flies up, punches Steppenwolf off the trident, he sends him flying across the room, Wonder Woman chops Steppenwolf's head off, and then Steppenwolf's head flies across the room some more, it lands on the ground, a foot comes down, Darkseid. He stares at the League stare back at him, they've met for the first time. Darkseid is in the movie.
Yes.
The tenor is mine.
The tenor is Whittle's.
If I described that scene to you last week, you would have said, "I'll give you that."
The wording.
It's the battle that gets me.
No, but like the fact that he's even in the movie for the amount that he's in is already bonkers. No, but like the bet was like he would be in the movie in the present narrative. He's in the present narrative and turn up in one battle. So. And he does.
Yeah, I don't know what.
I don't know what the problem is.
But the battle's in the future, so it's not in
the battle. The battle at the end isn't in the future.
But he doesn't do any battling, does he?
Oh, but that's such a technicality.
Yeah, that is.
I don't know though, because it's like we knew. I remember saying on the podcast we knew he was going to be in it more. Like that was for me anyway. That was out of that was no question. But I thought one of the debates was, and even something we suggested thought would be cool, was if Darkseid took over the entire movie, killed Steppenwolf. We even suggested that would be a good idea.
No, look. That's all like stuff that like could have happened, that like we were exploring the possibilities, but that was like a broad stroke, wasn't it? Like it didn't that didn't have to happen for me to win the bet.
Is, you could argue he comes to an attack at the end, and that's the problem, is the wording. The wording. You could get away with he comes to one attack at the end. He does, but like I think I can't remember the exact quotes from the last podcast, but I thought it was, for example, he comes at the end, and then he either is there there. I mean, he's technically there, but like I thought you would have a
Technically.
fight. And when it says comes to an attack, you know, that's the problem. Is it says it comes to an attack, but like I initially thought it would be him having a fight. Like I thought that's what they might have done,
But
but they kind of haven't.
but
And the way they've
he's
and
not
the
even
way
in the
they've
original
tried
cut.
No, I know, but like the thing was, it would have been interesting if they replaced him, but like let's be honest, they weren't going to do that. Like it would have taken even more money and whatever to completely replace Al. So like I can see where you're coming from. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad you're not saying it for the. If you were saying it for the flash forward, that'd be bullshit. I wouldn't have that any day. But what you're saying now at the end makes sense.
Harry, I remember distinctly us being on the phone before the movie came out, and you said, as long as he fights a significant leaguer.
I think I said that on the podcast.
And the reason why that sticks out to me is because I love the term significant leaguer.
Yeah. Same.
But mate, I saw him stab Aquaman with his own trident.
Yeah, but
that is
like,
a thing that I've seen in the movie.
They've literally, even with the part where he kills Superman, it's literally it's all put together. Like I'm not having.
Yeah, but it's in the movie.
No, but it's not a present narrative.
No. Okay.
That is not a present narrative.
Here's where the Lincoln lawyer comes out, right? If your argument for the Aquaman and Man of Steel moment is that it was put together and not really part of the movie, then I would argue all of the reshoot stuff is not part of the movie, and therefore the movie is good, and therefore that last tenner belongs to me. So either one of these, I'm.
No, I tell you what. I think I will have to take a big fat old L on this one, because it does say he comes to one attack, and technically he does at the end at least have some sort of interaction, which is what I said in the last podcast. So I'll take an L. But if you were trying to fight for that the flash forward, like whatever, that I wouldn't have had that. I wouldn't have had that.
I agree with you, Harry.
Well, what I want to know is, I want to know what the people in the comments think. I want to know. I want them to decide. I want to have like a actual definitive.
Let us know if it's good as well.
We'll put a poll out.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
It's got to be done.
Yeah.
I need to know
we'll
if
put a poll. I'll put a poll on the community tab of the Full Fat Podcast channel, which is what you're probably watching this cut down on. And I'll invite it in the comments, because I would be interested to see, and also give your reasoning and your arguments for and against.
Yes, definitely.
I think the decapitation is pretty damning. I think that moment alone seals it for me.
I'm with you. That's
just me. That's just me.
I agree with you, mate.
In another universe or world or whatever.
Let's do the high five.
Don't know.
Oh, it's complete.
You're gonna have to.
Me and Matt suck at high fives in real life as well. Like, I don't know why. Like, there's so many moments where we're like, yeah, let's high five, and we do it, and we just like miss it. Like, I don't understand. I don't know.
I think we did a really good high five, didn't we, Charlie? You really hurt my hand.
Yeah, that was a good one.
It's not a competition.
Yeah, I didn't mean to.
Well, me and Charlie are just best buds, aren't we? So.
Exactly.
And then, of course, the final clause 5, in that there is any post-credit scene. Well, I've had that one. Although the Lincoln lawyer would argue that the final 30 minutes is one fucking terrible post-credit scene.
Yeah, pretty much.
But for some reason, it's before the credits, so I lost that one.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't end. I kept being like, "Oh, this is the end." Nope. Okay, this is the end. Nope. And it just wouldn't end.
It would have been paced so much better if it had been end of the movie, the full credits, and then the future scene with the Joker. You could have played all of that after the credits and just ended with, like Superman like coming down.
Yeah. Like have a couple of them throughout the credits. It would have felt a lot better. Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
because you would have been like relaxing at that point, like the movie's done, like you just at that point you're ready to take in just any old extra crap, aren't you?
Just
like the goodies.
Lots of DLC that you just didn't want. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how to say it. That nightmare scene is basically terrible as well. Like, It's
What did you think of the Joker this time?
Who's gonna give you a reach around?
It's fine, but like I don't know. I'm still not vibing with it. Like his laugh, it just feels like it's really forced and it doesn't feel natural as opposed to like Heath or Joaquin. I don't know. I'm still not vibing with it, but I feel like I just have a natural hate towards it now anyway. So I feel like I wouldn't even be able to give a proper review of it. And also, it is like it's what 30 seconds. Or how long is it? He's not even in it that long, is he? So
No.
I just don't even feel like I could judge, that performance. To be honest with you, but yeah.
Interesting. It was definitely better, wasn't it, than like the gangster type Joker from Suicide Squad.
Was it
Definitely
really?
better. It was an
It
improvement.
is, but
it's
like-
definitely an improvement.
Definitely an improvement. And he got rid of the damage thing, so
Thank God.
it's a 5-star movie for me on that basis
Yeah,
alone.
good point. Actually, yeah.
I just feel like it's such a weird. Do you not feel like you watched like some sort of weird science experiment? Like there was something so weird about it.
Yes,
like watching
yeah.
it was like this is like one of the weirdest moments in like film history. Like watching this thing, like because it is part of it. Like just because of the fact that like these fans. They complain until they got it, and they got it, and it's this weird, like, everything chucked in. Kill my darlings is not a saying that is involved in this movie. Like, no, there is none of that. It is just pure, unfiltered Snyder, the sheriff.
Sheriff Snyder!
And I just think it was just so weird watching it. I'm thinking, this is like nothing I must admit, it is like nothing I've seen. In a sense that, like, it's just... But then it's like everything I've seen at the same time. It's so bizarre.
It was
like,
a
in
fun
so many
experience,
ways.
but I feel like I wouldn't recommend it to anyone as well.
Yeah, it's really weird. Unless you're in the know, the problem is with it is that like unless you know you're in the know of it all, can you enjoy it? Like if you didn't know you should watch this movie, you'll just be like, what is going on? Like what?
Yeah.
Anyone mainstream watching that, like they're having a terrible time. I'm telling you.
I love how you said like anyone mainstream. Like someone walks in, they're like, "This is a mainstream demographic." Yes, I am mainstream.
You know what I mean, though. You know what I mean. Not us nerds. Not us nerds.
Anyone too mainstream. It's a bit commercial. But yeah, I think that was Zack Snyder's Justice League. Unless anyone has anything extra, unless anyone wants to do the Snyder cut of this podcast and add any extras to this.
Do you know what we should do? We should do the full fat cut and like take the Snyder cut and cut it down into a good movie.
Do you really think I want the wrath of the Snyder fans on me? Do you really think I want to do that? Cut it down. Cut it down. Cut out a single holy second of Snyder's masterwork. I think I can feel the lasers like pointing on my face from like 20 yards away, 20 blocks away. I'm a dead man.
They have power. Those Snyder fans, they have power.
You do.
Don't make them think they have power.
They got
I've
a
seen so
4-hour
much
Snyder cut. Like, let's be honest.
But I've already started seeing the hashtag restore the Snyderverse hashtag Justice League 2.
Destroy it. I'm happy this happened.
Destroy the Snyderverse.
But if that was seriously the continuation, I would not be happy.
But I don't want to see Zack Snyder do that. I want to see him do one and done. I want to see him do like a zombie movie heist. I want to see him do like weird, and also like. When you watch this movie and you don't look at it under the lens necessarily of these are supposed to be these characters from this adaptation or whatever, it's just Zack Snyder playing around with demigods, isn't it? And that's what he does best. So I'd like to see him do more of that with his own sandbox, with his own characters.
Just leave the most iconic superhero characters alone. Please.
Yeah, and I don't think he has a grasp of like multi-part stories because he just ends up creating trailers for the next movie in the middle of whatever the current installment is.
Yes.
He doesn't have a good sense of seeding things in properly. It's always like blowing your loads too soon.
Yeah.
So
but don't
don't
also forget that. Brilliant. Don't also forget another man's name.
The Matt cut is like 2 minutes long.
That's pushing it, mate. That's pushing it.
This is now the second time we've had these jokes on the podcast.
Yeah.
I'm starting to get a little bit worried, and you should all be worried for me.
It's true. I just want you to not forget another man's name, like, you know, that's on this movie. You know, there is obviously Zack Snyder, but there is the other one, the one that we shall not speak of, and that is Mr. Chris Terrio. So, you know, you could say that's Zack Snyder, but we don't know who wrote what. So, and
Look,
from
I'm
the
sure
man's
Chris
track
Terrio
record,
is somewhat competent. I'm sure he's competent. He helped to write Argo with Ben Affleck.
That's true.
So he must.
That is true.
He must know how to put pen to paper at the very least. I know he wrote Rise of Skywalker, but, you know, let's cut him some slack.
And Batman vs Superman.
Yeah, well, I said let's cut him some slack. That's why I didn't mention Batman v Superman. But anyway, speaking of Batman v Superman, the year Batman v Superman came out, 2016, was also a big year for Captain America, where Bucky and the Falcon, they had a bit of a buddy cop duo, didn't they, whilst they were fighting Spider-Man in the airport. And, you know, when we watched that, we might have thought, you know what would be really great? A 6-part series on Disney's new streaming service in the future, featuring those two characters exclusively, picking up the events of Avengers Endgame. And if you were one of those people that thought that's exactly what I want, well, good-o, you got it in The Falcon Winter Soldier, which aired last night on Disney+. Someone save me from this word
Did you
salad.
practice that? Because that was very good.
No, it just evolved and developed until it had me firmly in its grasp.